Bryson DeChambeau walked off the 18 green at Aronimink with his head down. He had just missed his second major cut, shooting 7 over par. No weekend golf, no chance at the Wanamaker Trophy. By the old rules of golf, he would have packed his bags and left with nothing but embarrassment. But these are not the old rules. When Bryson checked his bank account, he found a deposit waiting for him. $4,300. For 2 days of work, for missing the cut, for finishing near the bottom of the leaderboard. And that's just the PGA's pocket change. Wait until you hear what he's really worth. This is Golf Untold. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The scene in Aronimink Golf Club on Friday evening was a familiar one for Bryson DeChambeau. Another major championship, another missed cut. He had shot a 6 over par 76 on Thursday, digging himself a hole that even his famous power could not escape. On Friday, he fought back with a much stronger performance, closing with 3 consecutive birdies. But it was too little, too late. He finished at 7 over par overall, missing the weekend for the second major in a row after also exiting early at Augusta National. For any other golfer, that would be the end of the story. Bad week, go home, try again. But for Bryson DeChambeau, something else happened on his way out the door. The PGA of America handed him a check, not a participation trophy, actual money, cold hard cash for missing the cut. The amount? $4,300. To you and me, that is a significant sum, a nice vacation, a used car, a few months of rent. But to Bryson DeChambeau, $4,300 is less than pocket change. It is the financial equivalent of finding a quarter on the sidewalk. You notice it, you might even pick it up, but it does not change your life. The PGA of America does not call it a participation trophy. They call it a stipend or a missed cut payment. It is part of the new reality of professional golf, where even the players who failed to make the weekend do not leave empty-handed. In the old days, before LIV Golf changed everything, missing the cut meant exactly that. You missed. You got nothing. You packed your own bag, paid for your own hotel, and flew in coach. But those days are gone. The PGA Tour and the majors have been forced to raise purses and expand payouts to compete with LIV's no-cut guaranteed money model. The 2024 PGA Championship hit a record $20.5 million, up from $19 million the previous year. The winner, Xander Schauffele, took home $3.69 million. The runner-up got $2.214 million. Third place paid $1.394 million. And every single player who missed the cut, from the biggest star to the unknown qualifier, received $4,300. It is a staggering change from the sport's historical norms. For decades, professional golf operated on a simple principle: perform or perish. If you missed the cut, you earned nothing. The only guarantee was the knowledge that you had not been good enough. That principle created pressure. It created drama. It separated the champions from the also-rans. But LIV Golf changed the calculation. When a rival tour started guaranteeing every player a paycheck regardless of performance, the established tours had to respond. And respond they did. Now, even missing the cut comes with a consolation prize. For Bryson DeChambeau, that consolation prize is less than a rounding error. But for the players at the bottom of the money list, the ones fighting just to keep their cards, $4,300 can make a real difference. Golf Untold is uncovering the untold story of how modern golf's money culture has changed forever. $4,300 sounds like a lot of money, and in a vacuum, it is. But to understand why this huge payday headline is not actually wrong, you have to zoom out and look at the full picture of Bryson DeChambeau's wealth. The numbers are staggering. Let us start with his LIV Golf contract. In 2022, Bryson became one of the first major stars to defect from the PGA Tour to the Saudi-backed league. The reported deal? $125 million, with half of that paid up front. Other sources put the figure at $100 million. Either way, it is a 9-figure guarantee that made Bryson one of the richest active golfers on the planet before he even hit a single shot for his new employer. But that was just the signing bonus. Since joining LIV, Bryson has added nearly $60 million in prize money alone. He has won 5 LIV events, including 2 already in the 2026 season. His 2026 earnings on the Saudi-backed circuit already exceed $11 million. That's more than most PGA Tour players will earn in their entire careers, and Bryson has earned it in just a few months. Then there are the sponsors. Bryson has endorsement deals with Reebok, Qualcomm, Google, and the prediction market platform Kalshi, which signed him as its first ever athlete endorser in January 2026. Collectively, these sponsorships are estimated to bring in $20 million annually. That's not prize money. That's not contract guarantees. That's just the cost of having Bryson DeChambeau's face associated with your brand. Add it all together, and Bryson DeChambeau's net worth is estimated at $44 million by Forbes, but that number may understate his true wealth given the upfront payments from his LIV contract in the value of his various investments. Bryson has said that he put most of his LIV money into real estate, his charitable foundation, and a multi-sport complex he is building. He has even joked that he's broke because he has already moved the money into other assets. The point is this: $4,300 is not a huge payday for Bryson DeChambeau. It is the financial equivalent of finding a dollar bill on the street. You notice it, you might even pick it up, but you don't change your life because of it. His LIV contract pays him more per hour than the PGA Championship paid him for 2 full days of work. His sponsors pay him more per social media post than he earned for grinding through 36 holes at Aronimink. And yet, the headline is not wrong, because in the context of professional golf's history, $4,300 for missing the cut is indeed huge. It represents a fundamental shift in how the sport values its players, and that shift is the untold story that Golf Untold is bringing to light. The story of Bryson DeChambeau's missed cut payment is not really about Bryson DeChambeau. It is about the complete transformation of professional golf's financial landscape over the past 4 years. Before LIV Golf arrived in 2022, the idea of paying players who missed the cut would have been laughed out of every boardroom in the sport. Golf's traditional model was ruthlessly meritocratic. You earned what you won. If you missed the cut, you earned nothing. In fact, missing the cut often cost you money. Travel expenses, caddy fees, hotel bills, equipment costs, all of it came out of your own pocket. For established stars like Bryson, that was an inconvenience. For the rank-and-file tour pros fighting to keep their cards, a missed cut could be a financial disaster. Then, LIV Golf changed everything. The Saudi-backed circuit introduced a model with no cuts and guaranteed money for every player at every event. Suddenly, players could show up, play poorly, and still walk away with a 6-figure paycheck. The traditional tours had a choice. They could stick to their meritocratic principles and risk losing their best players to the guaranteed money of LIV, or they could adapt. They adapted. The PGA Tour increased purses dramatically, creating 8 signature events with $20 million purses. The Masters now has the largest purse among the majors at $22.5 million. The PGA Championship increased its purse from $15 million in 2022 to $20.5 million in 2026. The Players' Championship will have a $25 million purse in 2026. And buried in those massive purse increases was a quiet but significant change. The tours started paying players who missed the cut. Not much, at least not by the standards of the sport's elite, but something, a stipend, a consolation prize, a recognition that even the players who fail to make the weekend deserve something for their time and effort. The $4,300 that Bryson received is the same amount that every player who missed the cut received. For a player near the bottom of the world rankings, that money might cover travel expenses and caddy fees for the week. For a player like Bryson, it is less than he spends on dinner, but the principle is what matters. The old golf, the ruthless, unforgiving, perform or perish golf, is gone. The new golf pays everyone, even the losers. Is that a good thing? The debate rages.
Traditionalists argue that paying players who miss the cut removes the incentive to perform. They say that golf's meritocratic purity was what made it special. Others argue that the old system was needlessly cruel, that players who dedicate their lives to the sport deserve some financial security even when they have a bad week. Wherever you fall on that debate, one thing is clear: the change is permanent. And Bryson DeChambeau's $4,300 check is a symbol of that change.
The comparison between what Bryson DeChambeau earned for missing the cut at the PGA Championship and what he has earned elsewhere in his career is almost comical. To really understand why the huge Payday headline is both accurate and misleading, you have to look at the numbers side by side. Start with the PGA Championship itself. The winner, Xander Schauffele, earned $3,690,000. That is 858 times more than Bryson's missed cut payment. The runner-up earned $2,214,000. That is 515 times more. Even the player who finished in last place among those who made the cut earned $23,900. That is 5.5 times more. But the real eye-popping comparisons come when you look at Bryson's other income streams. A single win on LIV Golf pays $4 million. That is 930 times more than his PGA missed cut payment. His total prize money on LIV now stands at nearly $59.5 million. That is 13,800 times more. His reported LIV contract of $125 million is 29,069 times more than 4,300. Then there are the sponsors. Bryson earns an estimated $20 million annually from his endorsement deals. That is 4,651 times more. His deal with Kalshi, signed in January 2026, made him the prediction market platform's first ever athlete endorser. That deal alone likely paid him more than he will earn in PGA missed cut payments over his entire career. Even the expenses associated with playing a PGA Tour event dwarf the missed cut payment. A top-tier caddy typically earns a base fee of $2,000 to $3,000, plus a percentage of winnings. That base fee alone would eat up more than half of Bryson's $4,300 stipend. Add in travel costs, lodging, meals, and equipment expenses, and it is entirely possible that Bryson actually lost money on his week at Aronimink. So why does any of this matter? Because the $4,300 payment is not supposed to be a meaningful sum for players like Bryson DeChambeau. It is a symbolic gesture. It is the PGA of America acknowledging that the old way of doing things, the zero-sum, winner-take-all model, is no longer sustainable in an era where LIV Golf offers guaranteed money and no cuts. For Bryson, the $4,300 is a rounding error, but for the 156th player in the world rankings, the guy who barely qualified for the PGA Championship and will spend the rest of the year fighting to keep his tour card, that $4,300 might be the difference between being able to afford the next tournament or staying home. That is the real story. That is why the headline is not wrong. For some players, the missed cut payment really is huge. Golf Untold is telling the full story. The $4,300 missed cut payment is not the only number that matters when looking at Bryson DeChambeau's week at Aronimink. What matters more is what the missed cut represents. 2 straight majors without making the weekend. A player who once seemed invincible, suddenly looking lost on the biggest stages. Bryson has spoken about playing through injuries. He has mentioned shoulder and wrist issues that have bothered him since the Ryder Cup. But the truth is that the problems at the majors run deeper than any single injury. His iron play has abandoned him, his short game has been exposed, and the confidence that carried him to 2 U.S. Open titles has been replaced by frustration, visible in every club slam and every muttered complaint. The contrast with his LIV Golf performances could not be starker. On the Saudi-backed circuit, Bryson has been dominant. 2 wins already in 2026, a third-place finish at another event, over $11 million in prize money. He has looked every bit the player who won the 2024 U.S. Open in dramatic fashion. But the majors are different. The pressure is higher, the courses are tougher, the fields are deeper. And for whatever reason, Bryson DeChambeau has not been able to transfer his LIV success to the game's biggest stages. The last time he missed consecutive major cuts was in 2017. Since then, he has won 2 U.S. Opens and finished runner-up at the PGA Championship.
The 2026 version of Bryson is a shadow of that player. The timing could not be worse, with LIV Golf's future uncertain after the Saudi Public Investment Fund's announced withdrawal of funding. Bryson's leverage in contract negotiations depends entirely on his ability to perform when it matters most. If he cannot make cuts at majors, his threat to become a full-time YouTuber carries less weight. If he cannot compete against the best players in the world, his asking price drops. The missed cut payment, $4,300, is not the story. The missed cut itself is the story. For a player who has earned nearly $60 million in LIV prize money alone, who signed a 9-figure contract, who commands $20 million annually from sponsors, the money is irrelevant. What matters is performance. What matters is legacy. What matters is whether Bryson DeChambeau can still compete at the highest level when it counts. The U.S. Open and the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale remain on the 2026 schedule. They represent Bryson's last chances to salvage the major season. If he performs well, if he contends for another title, the narrative shifts. He becomes the player who overcame adversity, who battled through injury, who proved the doubters wrong. If he misses 2 more cuts, the narrative becomes something else entirely. $4,300 will not change Bryson DeChambeau's life, but making the cut at the U.S. Open might, and that is the real untold story of his week at Aronimink. Not the money he received, but the opportunity he lost. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell.